ahead and bring tonight's regularly scheduled city council meeting to order. And we will begin the proceedings with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilmember LaFever.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Fouch.
Here.
Councilmember Crum.
Here.
Mayor Edelman.
Here. Okay, with everybody present, I do believe there was one recommended change on tonight's agenda of moving item number 11 down to be completed after item number 14. If everybody agrees with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with that correction.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda with moving agenda item number 11 down under agenda item 14.
I'll second that.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Fouch?
Aye.
And Councilmember Crum.
Aye.
Agenda is approved. We will now move on to approving the consent agenda. Jeez. This time there. Down.
I'm gonna read this in.
Okay, forgive my naivete. I guess I'll read the consent agenda. First is to approve the minutes of the 8/19/2013 regular city council meeting, and then set the date of Monday, September 12th, 2013 at 7 p.m. for the regular city council meeting. Approve the claims register and cash report. Approve building permit for Monty Hatcher, new addition on the kitchen, bedroom, and two-car garage. And approve building permit for Agriland FS replacement of support pillars that hold up NH3 storage tank.
Jim, I think you said September 12th.
I did. September 23rd, correction.
Do we have the address, Vicki, for the Hatcher's property? Is that in here? Do I already have that? Do I have that in here? Did I look at the thing?
It's 210 South Fifth Avenue.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Fouch?
Aye.
And Councilmember Crum.
Aye.
We have approved the consent agenda. Now we have agenda item number 6. Discuss and approve resolution number 13-19, a resolution to hire Dustin Moore as maintenance assistant with wages at $13.50 an hour. One thing I do have to say about just the quality of applicants that we've been blessed to have. This was a a really tough decision. We had 4 really good applicants, and I thought maybe the committee would go to blows over 2 of them. So, I mean, they were really, really impressive, and it came down to one had just already been hired as a contractor and had that little inside the city and knew a little bit more about the locations of our sewer mains and undergrounds and streets and stuff, and just kind of a little edge there, and so that's the direction we went. Any discussion on this?
I'm assuming it's Dustin. Is it Dustin Moore's or Moore?
More.
Moore's.
There's an S on there.
Oh, sorry. It's more on our, okay, Dustin Waters. If there's no discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 13-19 to hire Dustin Moores as maintenance assistant with wages set at $13.51.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Fauch?
Aye.
Councilmember Crum?
Aye.
So moved. We move on to agenda item number 7, discuss and approve an increase of 50 cents in wages for Danny, sorry. I do need to put on my glasses, don't I? Danny Christo. Danny will take on the responsibilities of maintenance equipment supervisor. I think we kind of discussed this at one of the previous meetings, that's generally how we advance things.
I'll make a motion that we approve that 50-cent raise for Mr. Christo.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? Nothing. Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Fauch?
Aye.
And Councilmember Crum?
Aye.
So moved. Agenda item number 8, discuss and approve resolution number 1320, a resolution to enter into a contract services for, and I'm going to bring forward Rick Uviett for this appointment. We didn't have time to form a committee. We've had some building permits that were out, and we needed to move forward. So I asked Skip and Mike to help me with this, and we once again interviewed, I believe it was 4 candidates. All worthy candidates, and again, 2 of them were really impressive. And so I decided to bring forth Rick Uviett. I thought I had some information here. Just a little background on Rick. He has a background in mechanical engineering. He's a certified professional building performance institute inspector, building analyst, and he has a building envelope certification, and he's working on a HIT certification for home inspection. So he just had some rare qualifications that made him a unique applicant. And so if there's no discussion on this appointment, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 13-20 to enter in contract services with Rick Uviett to perform building inspection services for the city of Logan.
A second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, is that a separate resolution? We don't have pay here. We will structure that. We're going to keep it the same as we did with
Next one.
with Jason. Yeah.
There isn't 20?
Addendum A, is that?
Vicky has it, but it's not,
Is that what this is?
that's what it is. And I think we discussed doing it the same as Jason had been set up. He preferred that. Which, do we have those amounts?
Yeah, there's an example.
$250 per month retainer service.
Do you want to do that on the, can we do that under the same,
I think we can fill that out.
same resolution?
Because it says in there, the rest is the addendum.
Okay, we'll move forward with that then.
Is the contract or what is the contract?
What's your advice on
I said, is it a contract or is it wages?
What's that?
Is it contract services?
Aaron, since you're here, can we get your advice on this?
Into contract services.
So we need to change that.
So is it wages or is it contract services?
Okay.
That's the question.
So if it were contract, we need a resolution on that to establish wages?
Well, that's a tough question.
You're talking,
To establish wages. To establish the contract amount, you mean? It would be nice to know what the contract amount is if you're entering into a contract through resolution.
I think our intent would be to go off the same thing we had before, which was a resolution establishing the wages. We would pay a $250 per month retainer and a 50% of the building permits with a maximum of 800 permit and a $20 per meeting for, if he's required to go to Board of Adjustments meetings or something like that. So that's the basis of what we would do.
Okay. If you want that, I think it should be within the resolution that might,
Okay.
the motion to approve the waivers.
This one or you want to buy it?
resolution.
Here's a resolution.
Resolution. This is what we're looking at.
It's not there. It's right here. Yes.
Yes.
Basically read this with changing the thing.
Because he had his own insurance.
It's this one going off there, instead of this one.
Okay, if I understand that correct, we can move forward adding the language into the resolution.
I'll make a motion. I'm
Okay.
going to withdraw my previous motion.
Okay.
I'm going to make a motion to approve Resolution 13-20 to enter into contract services with Rick Elliott to perform building inspection services for the city of Logan. For the amount, we will pay Rick Elliott $250 per month retainer for services as the building inspector, zoning administrator. 50% of the building permits that he would inspect, with a maximum of $800 per permit, and $20 per meeting that he's required to attend, such as Board of Adjustments, planning and zoning, and occasionally council meetings.
Okay,
I'll second that.
I'll second that. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Councilmember LaFever,
Aye.
Councilmember Clark,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Fauch,
Aye.
and Councilmember Crum.
Aye.
And that is approved. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 9, that is discuss and approve hiring tree service to cut down the dead trees as recommended by Mark Warner of Warner Insurance. This again is 306 Maple, 108 South 1st, 201 South 3rd, 315 East 9th. This will be at the cost of city according to the ordinance chapter 151, trees, article 15106, inspection and removal. Item number 1, city property. The monies will come from the street contract services. And I know we had, at one point, had some discussion about historically there has been some 50% things done, and that my understanding is if the tree was inspected and not deemed completely dead or would no longer be covered by insurance, we would offer to do it at 50% and share the cost with the homeowner anyway. Is kind of what my understanding was of that historically. Does that sound right, Neidra? You had history, yeah. I think that's, and before it was kind of, I think we didn't have a company that came in and inspected. I think the insurance company, I think Mark Warner maybe, would look at the trees and determine whether they would still be covered or not. And that's how that process, that's where the 50% came in. These trees, however, have been deemed dead or diseased, and my understanding is would be the city's responsibility.
So we just need to decide on who's gonna do that.
Correct, which we had. We had bids from Backyard Tree Experts, 4160, and that's to remove the tree at 315 East 9th. Rod Meeker, 4300, also to remove that tree. Russ Hasse, 4300 to remove that tree. And UD Tree Service, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but 8500 would also remove that tree. And I know there's some discussion at one point of wanting to do more trees, or we definitely need to evaluate and have that plan. But it's probably something we need to visit the budget.
I think we had started and got pretty far down the road last meeting on.
Right.
I don't remember who made the motion.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think Denny actually just felt that he had if I remember right, you had a comfort level with Rod Meeker. He'd done work for us before. He was slightly higher, not much, but I knew you were comfortable with him.
Work all over town, and he's a local guy. So.
No problems, and
Yeah.
good reputation. I think Denny had made the motion at that time to go with Rod Meeker.
I'll make a motion to hire Rod Meeker to cut the trees.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Fouch?
Aye.
Councilmember Crum?
Aye.
So moved. Agenda item number 10, we have an update on the Police Chief Search Committee. I have a statement here that Terry, oh, you're still here. Do you want to cover this, Terry?
Yeah, I can do this.
Well, the Police Committee update for you for tonight is the fact that at our last meeting, we did backgrounds that were conducted on 4 candidates. We've had 3 candidates that we have deemed not to be brought forward, and they were all given letters of thank you for considering us and wishing them well. Of the 3 that we advanced to an interview process, and these have been set for September the 18th at 7, 7:30, and 8 o'clock. Those candidates will have the option to have the interview conducted in open session or closed session upon their written request per Iowa law. One additional application has come in and is being processed in the same manner as all the previous ones, as the position is open until filled. Possible recommendation to the council may be considered after these interviews are conducted. And with that, that's kind of where we're at right now. Is there any questions?
You guys have any?
I know those interviews are set up for the 18th. We're down to 3. Would it be prudent, I don't want to overwhelm them, but would it be prudent to have a couple council members scheduled to actually attend that, maybe meet the candidates? That'd be a good idea at this point, at this juncture.
That would be acceptable if the candidate does request that that the interview be conducted in a closed session. Then obviously they would not be able to be in on that, but they could.
As council members, would that be correct?
As council members, would what be correct?
That they could not attend a closed session since they're not on that committee?
They meaning the non-city council members attending a closed session?
No, the council members attending a closed session of a committee.
I think the committee can pull in those folks that they want to pull into a closed session
Okay,
as appropriate and as deemed.
so we may have at least, I think it'd be appropriate to have a council member or somebody there to meet
Sit
the
in.
candidates and sit in,
Okay, all right,
so.
all right. And so that conducts, that's the rest of the.
Okay, okay. You can't do that? The 8th, I believe that was the 18th, right, Terry?
Yes, you're right, 18th,
Yeah.
first interview's at 7, second's at 7:30, and the third is at 8.
I don't want to overwhelm the candidates or the committee, but if one or, okay. Well, I'll try and be there, maybe one other person or something can be there, so. Okay, agenda item number 11 has been moved down the list in the agenda. So at this time, we will go to agenda item number 12. Discuss and consider closed session under 21.5 concerning pending litigation regarding Savannah Johnson, ADA and FHA complaint. I think the intent here would be we just adjourn. I don't see this taking.
I have a motion, a second.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, the council will proceed into the other chambers. We'll have our meeting and come back and resume. I don't see it taking too long, I wouldn't think, but you know how that goes, so. But I would entertain a motion to go into closed session under 21 at this time concerning pending litigation or possible litigation.
I'd make a motion to go into closed session under 21.5 concerning pending litigation regarding Savannah Johnson, ADA, FHA complaint.
Second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Abstain.
Councilmember Fauch?
Aye.
Councilmember Crum?
Aye.
Okay, at, let's see, 7:24, we will adjourn to closed session. Okay, we have come out of closed session and we will reconvene at 8:12 Verizon Wireless time. So I guess with that being completed, we will move on to agenda item number 14. Of course, in closed session, no meetings can be made, no decisions can be made, so we'll now come back into open session to discuss and consider written consent for Savannah Johnson's accommodation. And so I have prepared a letter that I'm going to address to the council. As mayor of Logan, I'm hereby requesting that written permission of the council be granted to one Miss Savannah Johnson to maintain up to 12 hen-only chickens. The chickens will be kept on the property at 314 West 4th Street for as long as she resides there, and the written permission will follow Savannah should she relocate within the city limits of Logan. The chickens will have access to the yard to forage in their natural environment while supervised, and continue to do so protected by a fence or a coop while unsupervised. The chickens will be kept in a secure, well-ventilated enclosure at night. The droppings may be used for compost and fertilizer and will otherwise be disposed of in a responsible manner. All chickens will be maintained as clean, healthy, and vaccinated from disease, and the chickens will be subject to any applicable nuisance abatement or any animal at large laws. So, is there any discussion on the content of the written permission? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve written consent for Savannah Johnson's accommodation as written.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilmember LaFever?
Aye.
Councilmember Clark?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Abstain.
Councilmember Fauch?
Aye.
Councilmember Crum?
Aye.
So moved. We move on to agenda item number 15, clerk's report.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm sorry, we moved agenda item number 11 to be after 14. And this is simply something that I put on there to discuss. We've had a lot of discussion considering we've attempted a chicken ordinance, we've discussed written permissions, and right now I'm not sure where I stand with enforcement of that current code and the direction that the council would have me take. And I guess at this time I'm just asking direction from the council if they are going to continue pursuing a chicken ordinance, and if that what am I trying to say? Moratorium of enforcement should stay in effect. So you guys, I'd entertain any, I'll get that.
I really think it should be, Jim. I think we have, you wrote it out nice for us. Looks legal, looks good. Let's just keep it right there.
Okay, but this one doesn't really have anything to do with our current ordinance. My question is, you guys have began working on ordinances. Do you intend to change the current ordinance? Because if you intend to change it, then enforcement's kind of mute. If you don't intend to change it, we have other chickens in town that there's enforcement issues with.
Enforcing as citations?
Yes. We still have, this pertains only to Savannah.
Right.
So she's the only one with written permission. We have had another request for written permission that was denied.
And I think we ought to go ahead and give that person a written permission.
All right, we need to discuss whether we're going to proceed with that, whether, I need direction from the council what your intents are.
I think you should proceed with it.
Jim, I think we have one behind us here now, and I know that we talked about a changing of an ordinance the last meeting that we had, and you put a moratorium on until we got that discussed. I would propose that I'm in favor of talking about an ordinance change and continuing with the moratorium at least until the next meeting. We could until we resolve it. Hopefully we could get something in front of the council for next council meeting, not let this go on forever.
Yeah.
But, I think it's bigger than, I guess what I wouldn't want to see is every time somebody wants chickens to come here and get a written exception every time we do that. I would rather have something that we all agree and can live with going forward longer term.
Okay.
But that's my opinion.
Is that a general consensus of the council that we proceed that way? Okay.
I can live with it.
All right. I guess with that, we'll move on to agenda item number 15, clerk's report.
We were just talking about how in the office, we did the backup for the gym computer, that real old one in there. We also talked to a couple of computer techs that told me in destroying the hard drive so that we can get it out of there and get rid of the computer. give us some more space for filing. Also, I was getting an update from several vendors for the replacements of the office computers. The update would not include monitors since those are not needed. And then I'm also getting bids from vendors for off-site backups. I contacted a couple of contractors about the automatic doors for the community building and replacing the countertops in the kitchen. Those were suggestions that were made with the money that Miles Barnhart donated. I have additional information from Great Western Bank about obtaining a credit card and their recommendations. I think that we were going to get together and, okay. Then I just wanted to address that this was brought up that my 6-month probationary period is technically over, and I will leave it up to the discretion of the mayor and city council members as to when they feel I should be evaluated. We've got a major concern here. Marilyn has reported me that twice the door leading into the building from the east parking lot has been unlocked when she has come in that way. That door takes a master key to unlock it, and I don't know how it's getting unlocked, but looking at maybe possibly talking to city council about rekeying the locks and coming up with a better system as to who has the actual keys.
Discussion on that?
Yeah, in fact, I was talking with Scott on the break when I had some free time there. With the money that we were receiving from the Barnhart estate, I think there's some improvements that have been done to the building. I know Marilyn's been accumulating a list. Vicki, I know you mentioned a couple of them on here, the door, the kitchen counters, those are kind of the top of the list. There may be other things. I approached Scott about what he may have.
We kind of talked about a digital sign or something.
We did. We had some more creative things like a digital sign. There may be opportunities. So we entertain suggestions or ideas. People that have been using this building, we talked about the facilities, we talked about the amenities. Some people have commented in the past we don't have things when somebody rents the facility for use for an event. There's no cookers, there's things that maybe they would like that we could invest in. Obviously, if something happened to those, we have deposits and things that would cover that. So there's opportunities, and we entertain, we know there's some improvements to the building that may need to take place. So I think we could look at some of those. The key thing, we've talked about at some time getting some greater security, maybe some video in the building. A lot of time the clerks are here alone during the day. Our officers are on duty typically at night. So that has always been kind of back of my mind is, they're here alone. We talked about redoing maybe the window there. I think initially that was set up, according to Scott, set up to kind of serve that purpose, have some barrier, the door would be locked, there would be access through that window, but out here with the draft and things in the winter, that gets pretty cold. So maybe there's an opportunity to put in a glass, kind of a bank style window there. Those are the kind of ideas that have been kicked around. So I look to each of us to reach out and entertain other ideas because this money that I think we have in the account right now is just the first installment of others that will also come. And I know some of these have been on our list for quite a while. So do you have those bids? Can you share those with us?
I haven't got them.
You haven't got them yet? Okay, you contacted folks. Okay. Anybody else?
Okay, all right, it's clerk report. We'll move on to, where are we at here? I think we're at mayor's comments. Agenda item 16, mayor's comments. First of all, I want to say thank you to the people who have been serving on our search committees. That's proved to be more difficult than we thought. We've had some excellent applicants, and they've really had to go the extra mile to sort through them, and so I just want to say thank you to those people. I think tonight, with written permission that we granted, I think we took a step, but I just want to say, I honestly think as I take on my role, my responsibility as mayor, I want to see some healing in this community. I think there's some bitterness, there's some hurt feelings, there's some a lot of turmoil going on. You know me, I'm a little bit unorthodox, and not to offend anybody, but I guess I'm the type of guy that don't really care if I offend anybody, so I'm going to move on with this. I'd just like to read Hebrews 12. See to it that no one misses the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Like a small root, bitterness springs up in our hearts and overshadows even the deepest Christian relationships. A bitter root comes when we allow disappointment to grow into resentment, and when we nurse grudges over past hurts. Bitterness brings with it jealousy, dissension, and immorality. I just think we need to knock some of these issues out one piece at a time, and do some healing here. Obviously, we're going to have issues that we still have to address. But I'm just hoping we can do it in a professional manner, and that we can do it unified, and that we can just come together as a community. And I guess I really have nothing else. I'll move on to agenda item number 17, citizens' questions and comments.
I just have one question. I don't need the mic. It was just a point of clarification. When you talked about the quote on the cutting of the trees,
Yes.
you said one address and then you gave the amounts. Was that for just the one
No.
address, or was that all?
No, it clarified that tree was not necessarily going to be totally removed. Those quotes were to remove that tree.
That one only?
Yes. Well, the quote was to remove 4 trees, but we had quotes to either trim that tree or remove that tree, and we chose to remove it. So we were clarifying that that was not to trim that one particular tree and remove 3. It was to remove.
I don't have my reading.
Did everybody understand? Did I confuse you enough on that?
Well,
We had quotes there were 4 trees. We had a quote to remove 3 and trim 1, and we had a quote to remove all 4. We went with the quote to remove all 4. So that's why we mentioned that specific tree would be removed, because removing it was an option. Does anyone have anything else?
Angela Winther, former city administrator. I just want to clarify, you said you were getting bids for off-site backup service. So that means right now you're not backing up the system. And how long has that been?
Actually, I thought we were back here.
I remember it got canceled when my credit card got charged.
Okay.
Okay, so if the building burns down tonight, you're gonna have to go in and recreate your whole accounting system without anything backed up.
Good point.
So the last date that it was backed up would have been probably the day before my credit card before that account was closed.
Right.
So for $49 a year, it's really probably a pretty easy, no-brainer thing to go with, so.
Good point, thank you very much. I do know that we had a quote, and it was just outrageous, and that kind of put the brakes on things. But we do need to figure out how we're going to remedy that by the next council meeting, I think.
I thought we had it, but you can check on that.
I thought we had remedied that as well, but, okay, because I thought we had to back everything up for the potential lawsuit with the, I will add one thing too. One thing we might consider when replacing a computer, we might consider maybe a laptop, because I know, like when you're doing minutes and you're in your office and you need the privacy, and it might be something to consider so that she could go into the back into the council chambers or something. Just something I was throwing out there. But we might consider something like that. It might be more flexible. Sorry, I digress, but anybody else have anything? If nobody else has anything, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Councilmember LaFever.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Fauch. Councilmember Crum.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
You can do the next one.
Oh,